welcome back to the Art Archaeologist channel. I'm Corey, and this is batch 3 of Gears and Leaves Eco Dyes. I said I would go ahead and grab my alum, which I did. I went ahead and mixed. You can get this in the spice section, and this is Kroger brand, so I got it at King Soopers in America. You should be able to find it online, if not in the store. But like I said, they carry it in the seasoning spice section in the grocery store. And this is a $4 or $5 little thing. It's not the cheapest, but it's not that expensive. So what I did was I poured this entire thing in this squirt bottle, and then I filled it up to this little first ridge here full of water. So what do we got? I'm not sure. I don't measure. I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, that's what I've done. So that entire thing is mixed in. I made the water hot because I wanted it to dissolve in there. This time I'm only going to do 12 sheets of Canson mixed media paper. And I'm going to do it the same exact way. I'm going to squirt both sides of the page. And then I'm going to do some leaves. I was looking for the branches like this that I used on the last 2 batches and couldn't find any. I think I used them up. But I did find these little branches, and I'm not sure what they are. I'm going to give them a shot, though, and see what happens. And then I've just got an assortment of different leaves that I'm going to try out today. Now, I know the scrub oak goes... the scrub oak turns black for the most part. This is the scrub oak. So I know that prints well. I'm not sure if it's going to react differently with the alum as it does to the vinegar. So I'm just showing you my system real quick here. I don't put the branches, I get rid of the branches entirely because they're just too bulky for paper, and they'll tear your paper if you're using like copy paper, which I use copy paper a lot for this. I'm using the mixed media because I'm doing all the heavy gears. I am going to do gears one more time for this set of papers. And like I said, I'm doing 12 double-sided, so this kit in my Etsy store will be a 24 sheet kit. You'll get 24 pages out of this kit, or 12 double-sided if you want to print them double-sided. And it'll be, of course, a digital junk journal digital paper kit. Oh, and it's got to give me a hard time because I'm filming. Okay. Anyway, since that's giving me a hard time, I'm just going to spray each side of every page, and I'm going to load them up with leaves and gears, and then I will be back to show you this all bundled together and to give a couple extra tips. Okay, be back in a few. Another fun thing I wanted to go over with you is you can take onion skins and put them in. They really make some very neat marks on your paper. And here I've got this little bag here, and what I do is I go to the store, I got a big bag here, and I clean out their bin for them. I just grab a produce bag and I take all the loose skins. I don't pull any skins off of onions because I don't want to take the protective layer off if I'm not buying it. But that's a good way to get a lot of onion skins really fast, okay? And then with my squirt bottle, there's a very easy fix. If you have a squirt bottle that's giving you grief, just open it up and snip the end off of that hose that goes down in there. And that fixed my bottle right up. See, now it's working great. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these, and I'll be back when I'm ready to pour the vinegar. So here's how this whole sandwich looks on the inside. I just wanted to show you the last page. Got a lot of onion skin in here all red. And then I tamp down the leaves and onion skins with little gears as I go. And if you watch this, so I'm going to spray this side. Your paper totally curls. That's why I spray both sides. Like I said that last video. There's a lot of instruction on how to do this in the very first tips and tutorials, gears and leaves. So if you want to get full instruction, watch that video. It's I just don't want to torture you with all the instruction over and over again. And I've got this natural cotton string, so I just tie it tight, tie it in a knot, and then I go to the opposite side. I'm wearing gloves because I'm working with rust. I try to always wear gloves when I'm working with rust. And of course the old tetanus shot, which I have already talked about. Okay, and then just tie that tight. As tight as you can get it. So I'm going to keep bouncing back and forth, and then I'll be back for the next phase. Okay, so I've got this all tied off, 2 strings per side, and it's pretty snug little unit here. And then I've got my rusty bits. I keep everything in this kitty. I just bought this kitty litter thing at Walmart to use as a paint tray, and I used it once and converted it into my rusty bits box. This rust can get dusty after a while, so you want to be real careful. Wear a mask when you don't want to be breathing it. So I'm just popping in some rusty pieces. Here's my little wrench. It didn't make it into the kit this time. And then I've got about 20% left of 2 of these bottles of vinegar. I was going to dump all the alum water in here, but I figured, you know, I have a whole squirt bottle full of alum water, which I could keep to spray my papers all summer. Why would I pour it in here when I have vinegar? So that's what I'm doing. I sprayed all the papers with alum water only, no vinegar this time. But I'm still adding vinegar because it's a great binder. So I used the last 20% of those 2. And then I've got this one here. I want a good 2 or 3 cups. I said this wasn't going to be full of instruction, and here I am. Okay, that's quite a bit of vinegar. Now I've got to move this over to my stove, and I'm going to top it with water so that the water's over the paper and a couple of rocks. And I'm going to cook this for I'm going to get it to a slight boil and then turn it down to like medium low for a few hours. And then I'm going to dump out all this water. I'm going to let it cool on my stove and dump out all the water, and then let it sit overnight all soaking wet. And then tomorrow, just like before, I'll go ahead and rinse this. I'll rinse all the papers, dry them and iron them, and show you how the kit looks. So here is batch number 3 all done. And the results that I noticed that are different is that this batch is darker. It's got more uniform color across all the pages. So that's what you can get from the alum. Vinegar works really well. Alum works really well. You just get more binding. You definitely, I think, get more binding with the alum. So I'm going to flip through this kit real quick. Oh, this kit will be a 24-piece kit like the others. And then after I do this flip through, I'll show you side by side with batch 2 the difference of a few of these. So here's the top piece with the alum. Something happened now. I put these on cookie sheets. When I pull them, I put them on cookie sheets and rinse them in my slop sink. And I get all the excess leaf, whatever, junk off of there and powder residue from the rust. And you want to put a sink guard in your sink. And in the summer you can of course rinse these outside too, just to be safe to your plumbing. This page got stuck to the cookie sheet when I went to dry it because I didn't rinse it thoroughly enough. So if that happens to you, this is what happened. It ripped in a couple spots, which is pretty typical of eco dyeing. You're gonna have tears. It's just part of the deal. But if you get a sheet stuck to one of your cookie sheets when you're trying to dry it, it's because you didn't rinse it thoroughly. And the way to fix it is to take it out and entirely wet it again, and then just keep pulling on it a little bit at a time. Let it sit for a few minutes wet, and then you can kind of pull it up from that cookie sheet, okay? So that's the solution, and you probably will run into it. I ran into it with many a kit. Here's the bottom sheet. There's just more uniform rust color throughout this whole kit. My leaf prints did not come out fabulous. I got a lot of this really gorgeous grunge texture from the leaves, but the fact that it's a leaf is kind of unrecognizable, and I really think that that is from having them frozen. I am just becoming more and more convinced that if you take it straight off the vine and do your eco dyeing, that you're going to get better results. I think the freezing process definitely changes the chemistry of the leaf and takes away its ability to secrete that pigment onto the paper. So I will probably this year, I think, if I get really great results from live leaves, then I'm going to freeze less leaves. I use frozen leaves for Venetian leaves. That's a really neat finish. You can do it on your walls. You can do it on your art projects. That's another video I have. Please look that one up. It's great fun. And then the other thing you can use frozen leaves for, you can use them for a few things, but you can use them on your jelly plate and get leaf prints all winter long. So I will always freeze leaves. I always have since I learned how to do these finishes. But for eco dyeing, I might just limit it to summertime only. A lot of talking. I'm trying to get my talking down, but at the same time, I want to make sure and give you all the instruction I can give you so that you guys can, you know, make educated decisions when you're going to do this. We're so busy with life, and I have done art projects and kits where I've experimented and have had complete and total fails, and that is really irritating. You spend all that precious time. I got some really neat grunge pages in this kit. So I think as long as I have alum on hand, and I have a bunch of it, and you know this, I got results. So this whole thing, I did check this at the grocery store, and it was right around $2. So it wasn't even as expensive as I thought it was. I'm going to keep using the alum on all my kits because it really does help that rust color to bind to the paper even more. And of course I will put vinegar in as well. I just think it's worth it to do both. You know, our time is valuable. Here's a pretty decent leaf print on this one. But if you didn't know that was a leaf, it's not necessarily recognizable as a leaf. So the more I do it, I really am becoming convinced that a lot of these species just need to be eco-dyed right off the vine or the branch. Another thing about that, I wanted to talk about that for a minute. I keep a pair of scissors along with my baggies and my squirt bottle in the summertime to collect my leaves. And I never rip anything up by the root. You want to snip the stem at an angle if you're pulling a botanical out of the ground. That way it can grow back year after year. If you rip it up by the root, like sage, you take the opportunity for it to grow back. So while I love to eco-dye, I also love to protect nature at the same time and not create problems while I'm out there collecting. And on branches, you want to pinch off of the main branch, you want to pinch your leaf, or you want to pinch that little tiny branch of leaves, but you don't want to just rip it apart. You really want to be mindful of how you're removing your stuff, and it just takes a tad bit of care. No big deal. Pulling leaves and botanicals is like giving the plant a haircut. You're not going to hurt the plant unless you know, rip out the root. Then it's a whole that's like having somebody yank on your hair. It's the same concept as your hair. You know, you can snip it and it's not painful. You can rip it and it's extremely painful. So just a little tip on getting your herbs and your botanicals. And I try to stay away. What is that rule? If it's 3, leave it be. If there's 4, ask for more. So 3 leaf pronged branches coming out of stuff can mean that it's poisonous, and it's not the best idea to just run around and go and get leaves off of stuff. There's a gal on here who talked about getting a rash from eco dyeing. I can't remember her name, really sweet lady. And you can definitely create some problems for yourselves. So, you know, trees are pretty safe, vines are pretty safe, but just keep that in the back of your mind. If there's 3, leave it be. If there's 4, ask for more. Okay, so let's go back for a sec. This is the top sheet of this kit. Let me just put it here like this. And here's the top sheet of batch 2. I did not grab batch 3 or batch 1, excuse me, because I didn't get any leaf prints on it, and it came out the same as batch 2. So here's the difference between just vinegar and alum together. There's the top side of that sheet. So you get such a nice variation just with these 2 separate products here. I really like both. I like you get a lot more contrast without the alum, and you get more of an overall smoothness with the alum. Okay, here's the alum bottom sheet. And here's the vinegar only bottom sheet. Not a lot of difference, but there is more contrast in the vinegar only. So that's really what I took away from this, that your pages are going to come out a little bit darker and more dramatic when you use the alum, and you will get more contrast when you don't use the alum. So let's do a couple more pages here and then we'll call it good. So the leaf prints came out best on batch 2, and I used a lot of vine leaves. I was running low on vine leaves and I ran out of those branch leaves altogether. So the stuff that I had left didn't really print. So you got to use what you have available. But see, the overall color is much more prominent in the alum. I think it's fun to try everything because, you know, I'm in Colorado and you might be in a warmer climate where you have access to more species of plants, and you may get far different results. This is one of those things. See, those are very similar pages right there. And a lot of this white you can get out in a Photoshop or whatever, or just leave it, but this comes from making your batch tight because you prevent the water from getting into every single little crevice. Okay, so that's where the white's coming from. So I think that's about enough. All of these kits are available. We can do one more in my Etsy store, and I will go ahead and link. This will be kit number 5. The batch 1 has 2 kits, batch 2 has 2 kits, and batch 3 has 1 kit. I just decided to do a little bit less paper with 3 because I knew we would get the idea. So those are the results, and now that everything's growing, I hope you guys go out and collect stuff and do this for yourselves and share your results with me and the world. I'm sure there's lots of people out there who would love to see your stuff just like I would, okay? So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.